Taoiseach, over the next few months, many people will find themselves in a situation that they would never ever thought they would have been in. That's a situation of potentially being homeless. And it's not the choice of theirs, but it's the choice of your administration. And I really, really hope, and I'm sure I speak for everybody, that that scenario does not happen, where families or individuals can't even get emergency accommodation, but will have to either go to a police station or an airport. And that's now out of the realms of possibility. Taoiseach, if that happens, and there's a potential that it could happen, I think the damage will be, for this government, will be unrecoverable. The optics of families having to go to a police station would just be unforgivable, absolutely unforgivable. In them circumstances, what measures have you put in, not you personally, but your government, in relation to contingencies that families could find themselves in if there is no emergency accommodation available? That's the question, and that's the question everybody wants to be answered. Thank you.
Deputy O'Connell,
question on protests. Deputy, I have no difficulty at all with protests. Protests are an important part of democracy. They're not allowed in some countries which you champion, but they are allowed in this country, and provided protests are peaceful. Well, look, are protests allowed peacefully to take place in Cuba and Venezuela and Nicaragua?
If we can just keep to the responses, please.
I'm glad that it's on the record of the House that the Deputy is not supportive of Cuba. Thank you. Good, thank you. That's a revelation.
Can we just go back to the topic, please,
and I do apologise and withdraw. I do apologise and withdraw if I was mistaken in ever thinking that Deputy Smith and Deputy Boyd Barrett were ever supporters of Cuba. I'm
sure
glad
there's another forum where you can tease
that
out.
Never been supporters of
let's
Cuba.
move on
that is
back
a
to
good thing to hear,
please,
and I'm glad that that's on the record of the House today. But like I say, no problem, no objection, and welcome peaceful protest. In relation to the motion of confidence, which a number of deputies referred to, I note that we won it by a margin of almost 20. Didn't need the votes of independent deputies, but had quite a lot of them, which is very, very, very welcome, and I thank them for it. And it is difficult, given the margin of the victory, to understand why some commentators seem to be thinking in the past week or two that the government was ever under pressure, that there was ever any possibility of us losing that vote. There wasn't. This government has a comfortable majority and has a supermajority with the help of a number of independents. This is the fourth stall I think I'm a member of, and I haven't seen governments win votes as big, with the exception of the time we were in government with Fine Gael and Labour, when we also had a supermajority, because the two biggest parties in the Dáil were in the same coalition again. So I can give people the assurance that this government is built to last, and this is a government that can go full term. In relation to the idea of establishing a public building company, we have established a new public company, the Land Development Agency. It was opposed by most of the left-wing deputies on this House. Most was supported by the Labour Party, in fairness to them, not the Social Democrats. I'm glad that that company now exists and that it's now building housing not too far from you, Cahirlock in Shangana, and I believe in time that will be as big a game changer as the IDA and Aer Lingus and ESB were. A public house building company that's going to build homes on behalf of the state. A really positive development. It got off to a slow start, and I'm disappointed about that, but it is getting going now, and we need to give it the capital it needs to do a lot more. I think the suggestion, though, from the deputy is a slightly different one, that there should be direct labour, that it should take on construction workers, and like any idea, I think that is worthy of being scoped out. I do think there are pros and cons. There is plenty of evidence that suggests that when the government or the public sector builds something, it takes longer and costs more. And that may be for very good reasons. It might be because the workers have better pensions, because they've better pay, and because we have to go through certain public procedures. But it probably is the case that if the government does something for lots of good reasons, it's going to cost more. And it's going to take longer, and we'd have to bear that in mind in any policy decision. And it might also displace workers and displace development from the private sector at a higher cost, taking longer. And you need to bear those things in mind when you make decisions too.
We're way over time.